Hello everyone. Do you remember this new demo I showed you in the previous update showcase video? Well, after identifying a few things that could be improved to properly support this kind of setup, I've been able to refine the system, and this new version now includes all the features I developed for it. The overall behavior is still the same. Environmental dialogue will automatically play when the player gets close to an NPC. But now, if a cinematic dialogue is triggered, the system will wait for the environmental dialogue to finish before starting the cinematic one. All of this is made possible thanks to the new Advanced Dialogue Actor component introduced in this update. This component directly handles several things for you. You can simply assign which dialogues should be used as environmental dialogues and which should be used as the main dialogues. The component will automatically manage dialogue triggering and make sure one dialogue is finished before another starts. You can configure the trigger radius for each dialogue, whether the player should slow down near an NPC when a main dialogue is available, whether the player should be stopped when a main dialogue is queued, and much more. This new component also introduces a new type of dialogue choice, allowing the player to ignore an NPC, and the NPC will remember it.
Hey, you there. I think I lost something important. You heard me and chose to ignore me. I won't forget that. You ignored me when I needed you. Don't speak to me again.
What you just saw is handled entirely through the environmental dialogue system. When the NPC enters the neglected state, they will play a specific line, and later, when the player comes back nearby, they will randomly play one of several dedicated dialogue lines. If you want, you can also take a look at how the Advanced Dialogue Actor component is implemented and use it as inspiration to build your own advanced dialogue system if this one doesn't perfectly fit your needs. Everything is provided as an example of what can be achieved with Dialogue and Quest Master. This update also introduces new ways to handle dialogue triggering and dialogue completion events. You now have access to asynchronous functions such as async wait dialogue end, which allows you to wait for a dialogue to finish before continuing the blueprint execution flow. You also have async play dialogue, which lets you start a dialogue and resume the blueprint execution flow when the dialogue ends, gets interrupted, and more. To fully use the advanced dialogue features, you'll need to add the Dialogue Manager component to your player controller class. This new component is only required if you want to use advanced dialogue and Quest Master features like the ones we just covered. Of course, so you can directly inspect how this new demo was created, I've also added this setup to the downloadable demo project. You can find this setup inside the secondary demo map accessible through this NPC. There you'll find the Advanced Dialogues example setup. The quest has been adapted so it no longer relies on Interaction Master, but otherwise everything has been recreated in this setup.
What did you lose?
A small package. I must have dropped it near the well.
I'll take a look.
Thank you. Please bring it back if you find it.
Are you kidding me? An apple basket. That's what he lost?
This secondary level is located in Content, Dialogue System, Test Open Level Action. You'll find the full advanced dialogue setup there, and you can freely explore and analyze how everything works if you'd like. This new version now supports interruptible dialogues that can later resume automatically. A full C++ implementation is provided through the Dialogue Manager component, but I also kept the blueprint version from my original prototype to demonstrate that you can build your own advanced dialogue system entirely in Blueprint if you want to. You can also study this implementation to better understand how the Dialogue Manager component itself was designed. The entire example is heavily commented so you can explore it comfortably and understand how everything works. This also demonstrates how the new asynchronous functions can be used to build advanced dialogue systems. Here's a demonstration of the dialogue interruption system. In this example, the dialogue gets interrupted when the character interacts with an interactable object. A few seconds later, the dialogue automatically resumes.
What was I saying? Here, everything revolves around a cycle.
Here you can see the test dialogue I used for this setup. The interruption system has also been tested with dialogues using subdialogues, and everything works correctly. The line that the character will say when resuming their speech is fully configurable in the actor settings. Here I'm using a speaker asset, and inside the continuation dialogue property, I configured the dialogue that should play when the character starts talking again. In this example, I only added a single dialogue line, but of course you can use a random branching node to make the behavior feel more dynamic and varied. To play an interruptible dialogue, you need to use the Dialogue Manager component. If a dialogue is started through the Dialogue Manager component and gets cancelled while it's playing, the system will wait for a delay before automatically resuming it later. If you do not want the dialogue to resume, then you should use the standard workflow by starting the dialogue directly from the Dialogue Master component instead. To interrupt a dialogue, you only have to cancel it. If some gameplay events should interrupt or delay the resuming of an interrupted dialogue, you can use the retrigger interrupt delay function available on the Dialogue Manager component. This version also changes how character movement locking is handled during dialogues. The system no longer uses the move_none movement mode on the character movement component, because that could sometimes leave the character stuck in mid-air. If you want to prevent your character from jumping during dialogues, I recommend creating event handlers for the onDialogueBegin and onDialogueEnd events from the Dialogue Master component. This way you can enable or disable inputs, manage the movement mode yourself if needed, and fully customize the behavior. Here's what my implementation looks like inside the demo project. That's it for the main additions in version 3.0.7. This update mainly focuses on providing more advanced and flexible ways to manage dialogues, while also giving you fully functional examples you can directly study, modify, and build upon in your own projects. I hope these new systems will help you create even more immersive narrative experiences with Dialogue and Quest Master.